All right, cool. Yeah, we're live. Oh, awesome. What's up, man? Same old, same old. I feel like anytime I want to stream with any regularity, it's purely like invaded by meetings and so many other things. Um, but yeah, we're doing this. We're can't fully divulge why we're doing this until I'm waiting for a post to go out. Once that post goes out, then we can speak freely about it. But let's just say we're working on a project together, um, and that project involves trying to figure out how in the world we're gonna get transcriptions into a database. Um, so let's see what happens with that. I'm trying to figure out the best way to be able to watch you while also keeping an eye on chat. I think I do. Let me go. So it should be live on my Twitch. It's also on my LinkedIn, and then it's on YouTube. I should probably also do that. And we're live. Come hang out. There we go. You've gotten me sold on the just thing. I have the CLI that I built for Render Engine, or now I have the TUI that I have for Render Engine. Um, I can now post to Mastodon quicker, or to like all the things quicker, um, and because of that, it's now like just TUI, write the thing, save it, and then just publish, and then everything goes live. Everything like pushes. I mean, if you throw them in the chat, if you throw them in the Zoom chat, I can make them live. I don't know if YouTube is so spiteful when anybody does anything that's link involved. Um, that's not the host. But yeah, I've one of the things that I made a note, a personal note on my blog about how just files, because they actually live in the project itself, like I've had fewer issues with AI, like trying to run something the wrong way. Like when I started using UV, like Claude would refuse to use UV, and it's always like, oh, let me do Python something something something, and then it was like, oh, that didn't work. Let me switch over and try to create a new virtual environment and pip install stuff, and now it's just like, oh, you have a just file. That just file says to run just this. I'm going to just use that, which is really cool. Yeah, I like it. Hold on, I'm wondering if people can hear you. I don't
I
think
don't
they
think they
can.
can.
Hmm.
Now they should be able to.
Okay.
That's better.
So,
Don't worry. We're talking a lot about just, but
yeah, let me switch to live chat. Are people chatting on YouTube yet?
not yet.
Okay,
We got a few people in.
awesome. Okay, so what we wanted to do is create a new Django project. And so I've got this Django start project. I'm Jeff Triplett on GitHub. So Jay's got a link he can share. And so when I go to create a new project, I just go and use this thing. It has a few bells and whistles, but not many. It just gets a very generic Django project running. And so what I want to do is grab it and I'm going to call this app transcription, if I spelled it correctly. And I just run the thing. And then this is going to give me um, a folder called transcription. And that's going to have just files and stuff in it. I know Jay's going to want to put this in Get someplace. And so that my brain doesn't get confused, I usually rename my project folders to be like transcription, the project name, and then dash get. And then I can CD into it and look at the files. It's going to be a whole lot of stuff, and you're going to go, what do these things mean? Basically, it's just getting like a Django settings file in the right place. And I tend to use Docker, which you don't have to use, but at least kind of gets things in the right place. So what I'm going to do is just run just here. And this is a very opinionated workflow that I use. Anytime I get into a new project, I use the word bootstrap, and that does everything, creates the file, creates any Docker files, creates any like settings, puts them in the right places, environment variables and stuff. And then I kind of have kind of a standardized workflow I use. Being a consultant, I work on dozens, if not hundreds of projects. I've got dozens of side projects. They're not all in Django, even though I primarily work in Django. So as I switch projects, I want to be able to use the same, like, how do I know how to update a project? How do I know how to run something, whether it's using Django or it's Fast API or it's Flask? Maybe it's render engine. And so I'll use the word up. So just up will create it. So I'm going to run just bootstrap here.
I love the render engine shout out. That's what we need.
It's been a while. I need to work on that one. So this just runs in a second. It's done. And so it's created everything it needs to with Docker environment variables. And so I can run just up. And this is going to show you that my database is running. This is pretty noisy because of just how Docker works. I'm going to open up a couple tabs too, just so we can kind of see. And UV is running. So this is telling me my database migrations have ran. These are just the defaults that come with Django. And so down here it says don't do this in production, which is fine. And it's telling us we have a run server. So if I go over to my browser and if I did everything correctly, I don't get a Rocket page like Django normally does, but I get something that's more useful, which is a working Django admin. And so now I need to, and this is just in a new tab, just console is what I use to go inside the container to have a working Django. And so I'm going to do UV run manage.py, and this will show me all my commands I can run. But I want to do a create super user, and it's me. I'll address. This is something like, Jay, what's your credit card number? And I will
You
put that in
know,
as the,
1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't think that's, I don't think that's right. Okay, so I got a working Django admin in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So that will something we can come back to. So how do you want to start with like what's your I know we want to get transcripts because I do some projects like Django TV. This is sorry to be rude. I'm asking you a question and I'm going to talk for a minute. Um, so Django TV is a project that I wrote that lets me basically organize a bunch of Django conference videos and live streams, podcasts. I made this a couple years ago because I kept hearing on Django podcasts, like Django chat. I kept hearing people say there's all this good Django material on YouTube and nobody knows how to get to it. So this was kind of
Mm.
my like, how do I create something? And this is entirely vibe coded, like 99% vibe coded over the last couple of years. I used to just like go into Claude and ChatGPT and copy paste code back and forth, but I wanted to be able to see like how good was this technology. When Claude Code came out, I just started letting Claude Code do all the updates for me, and I just drive it. But more importantly, this is just a site that you can go to, and if I want to see like how many talks Jay Miller has done, I can go in
Not
and see.
many. I think it's only like two.
Ooh, I need some color
That's not fair. I
grading.
recorded those, or those were interviews, but
There's a keynote that Jay had done. He did the Django perspectives and stuff. But and
huh.
I got a bug here. I need to figure out like why some covers didn't come through. So that's kind of fun. You hosted a panel years ago, so I see that here too. But you kind of get the gist of it. So what I want to be able to do though is not only have videos, but make a better search. I want to be able to pull like really good quotes and stuff out of talks that people have given. So when Jay was talking to me about super secret thing that's coming out, one thing I want to check off is the ability to like get transcripts from videos and work with that.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about this is you were telling me how Django and AI play really well together due to just the sheer effort that's been put into the Django docs and Django Girls tutorials and like all of the getting started with Django apps that have been made through those tutorials and then those being crawled through the system. Like that's a lot of context. And someone was asking me before, like right before this, they were like, is Django like still a big deal? And I was honestly like, yeah, the fact that there is so much knowledge and context, like even in the age of AI loves batteries included. And like Django is still the best solution for that on the Python side.
One thing that helps is every once in a while, like anytime there's a new model, especially a coding model, they'll put out rankings and they'll say like this scored a 98 or this scored an 84. And while those, the bigger number to 100 is good, and some of these models are I think are at 100% or getting close to 100%, meaning the coding challenges that they have it try to solve. And they've got a bunch of like this list of known, these are challenges that, they're going to have the AI, the LLMs like actually complete, and then they look at the answers and they score them, rank them. And so anytime those challenges are run, like I think it's like 46% or more of them are Django bugs and Django challenges. So when you talk about like how key is Django to AI, it's not that the companies may be building apps with them, but they're using it to test and to score themselves and to be able to say like, Gemini versus OpenAI's APIs or Claude's, Anthropic's LLMs. They're using those to try to like gauge how efficient they are. So it's super critical. And I think because, like you said, the docs are really good in Django. There's a lot of code out there that it's been trained on too. So if you're a Django developer, you've got 20 years of context that have already been included in their training sets. So from my perspective, when I'm vibe coding applications or just asking it questions, the hit rate is so high just because it just has so much data there to build off of. So
Gotcha. By the way, we can actively talk about the thing now. The YouTube link has been created and is public, so I'm guessing that's close enough for NDA lifted for me. Yeah, Jeff is going to be my first guest on a show that I'm doing for the company I work for, Ivan. And if you are interested in that, it's called Elephant in the Room because we do Postgres things. We're going to be talking about Postgres from the perspective of app developers. Um, it's one of those things that I've gone to a bunch of Postgres events this year. I hear a bunch of people asking about like, hey, how is this used in production? How is this used maybe from the perspective of an app developer? Yeah, we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be talking about maybe some of the bigger challenges and questions that we have as app developers using Postgres in our day to day with our favorite web frameworks, programming languages, etc.
yeah, it's super
So yeah,
cool. I'm one of the people who mostly use Postgres through Django. And so there's a lot there that I just take for granted. So Jay was asking about search and he's like, how much time do you spend on search? Maybe like a minute. I just grab Postgres's full text search in Django, and I just don't have to spend as much time on it. So I think Jay has some. Once we build to it, it'll be interesting to see like what actual different backends and different features can we use, to get better search and compare the results. I just kind of look and go, yeah, that's good enough. Like I searched looking for Jay, a couple of minutes ago. It kind of hit in the right way, and that's good enough for like a video site.
Yeah. We'll talk about the search part maybe more either in this a second stream or when we do the live thing, but let's run with the getting transcriptions working. You mentioned kind of some of the tools that you're currently using to transcribe data, your voice, video, just audio. What are some of the tools that you're using currently?
My favorite is Mac Whisper, but like that doesn't scale as well outside of my Mac. And it's kind of fun because let me pull up let's get a web, let's get some kind of let's get Sublime text up or something.
I was gonna say if you're pulling things up on the screen, I can work on getting links in the background.
All right. Computer's being a little weird with the streaming stuff, but so this is just a blank text editor, and I created this, and nobody needs to do this. This is just me because I thought it was fun. I created my own little vibe tool, which is mostly just getting voice out, and it's so hard to pick up, but one of the keys actually changes colors, it vibes, and so that's what I'm going to be using whenever I like talk to my computer. And so if I hold a button down and I'm just typing like this, you can see there's a little blue bar at the bottom with sparkles, and you can kind of see my voice. I don't have a good way to zoom in, but it's down here on the left.
Yeah.
So I'm just holding the button down. When I let off it, it'll like instantly translate everything I just said into text. So that's one way to do it, which is just real-time transcription. What Jay and I were looking at yesterday is how do we take audio files through something called Whisper. And I think it's an OpenAI, what is it? OpenAI large language model, maybe? And it's a local
Yeah.
model that you can run. And so it's really good. So we'll try to like fumble our way through getting it working locally. NVIDIA created one that I'm using with Mac Whisper, and it is called Parakeet, and it is super, super, super good. I tried last night to figure out how to run it local, and I never figured it out. I don't know if you had any better luck, Jay.
I so the problem that I was thinking about was running it locally using the MLX means that you have to have like a Mac server running the whatever the thing is. So as soon as I kind of realized that, I was like, we'll figure this out in the future.
Well, I tell you what, let's get videos first, and then we'll switch to that part.
Yeah.
So so another thing that I do is I've been an organizer of DjangoCon US for quite a while, going back 10, 11 years. And so our videos just came out yesterday. And so I'd like to be able to transcribe that data that comes from it. So Django TV, it's on here. I also can just shoot straight to YouTube. And I'm going to go just find the playlist that they use, which is this number or this weird giant key. And I'm going to use a tool called, what is it called? YTDLP. Let's see.
It's one of the YouTube downloader clones.
Yeah, I think it replaced YouTube DL. And in theory, I can give it a channel. Let's see how that works. I'm going to go just edit this, I think. Oh, that's fun. It doesn't like that for some reason. Okay, let's see. Oh, get our little platinum sponsors there, a little extra. Okay, am I doing something weird here? I am doing something weird.
Oh,
Ooh, fun. I just want the playlist.
I
Where
was
is the
like,
playlist?
is
There
YouTube
we go.
blocking it since you're on Zoom or something?
They probably are. I think I can just do a very generic YouTube DL playlist. and it would be smart enough to start downloading these videos for us. Let's see if we see any errors. Oh, there we go. Now, this could take like an hour, and we do not want to wait for an hour.
I would say we could
So
probably grab like two or three and then call it a
I'll
day.
I'll let it run, and then I'm gonna go ahead and open up a project here. And
We're
so,
testing your internet connection at the same time.
yeah, we got fiber here, so we should be
Oh, there
pretty
you go.
good. All right, where's my files and stuff?
And the one you're using, you said was YouTube DLP
Yeah,
or
yeah.
YT DLP.
Let me see. It is this one, but because I went ahead and downloaded, I'm gonna stop that. So yeah, I went ahead and downloaded the full playlist earlier. That just kind of saves us time. And one of the other options I used, I'll paste this so people can see it, but I'm doing this audio format only for MP3s, which is really nice because then that will basically save us a bunch of time. Like it'll go ahead and just get the audio track out of it. You don't really need the full video file. And I don't know, YouTube DLP might actually download it and then pull it out for us, but it just gives us something on disk, at least it's a little smaller.
Yeah. By the way,
This
you
is,
have a YouTube video playing at the bottom of your browser.
oh, yeah, thank you. All right, I can close that though. Just want to get the Django Django plugin for DjangoCon US. Okay, so if you run that, you're going to get a bunch of files in a folder. I put all mine in one called video, and that's going to get all your audio files and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would, in theory, like to automate that in some way too, which we could do with Django. We get maybe one conference a month, so it's not terrible. But like for the sake of just getting to audio, um, that's something we at least can work with. And then let's check out.
It's interesting because one of the things I've been thinking about, again, as I was talking about having or being able to affect the database from multiple sources,
Mhm.
is you could have multiple sites talking to the same database. I mean, as long as there's not too much madness going on, you can have kind of a web app that is just doing the transcriptions, and that's only accessible by a select handful of people who have the ability to say, let me go in here and, you know, load a new transcription up or point to a new video, or even have it doing the work by webhook of just having something listening, and then whenever it happens on the back end, it automatically transcribes it, and then you just have an admin, kind of a Django admin view, which you were showing me like Neapolitan and all that. So like, I mean, I think that of course there are going to be like 8,000 different ways to do this. I I think the first step is like, let's make sure that we can transcribe this stuff, and then the second thing is worrying about how do we make it so that Jeff's not the only person that can, check on these processes, kick something, edit something, all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly that. And I tend to just write scripts like this one. This is one that I had vibe coded before, and it uses the MLX Whisper library. And all it's really doing is there's a couple of options for libraries that I had to kind of play with. I never got this parakeet one working, but these are just the MLX community. It's the same group that creates this MLX Whisper. And these are just local models that it will run. And you can take the audio file, run it through the library, and it will kick out a transcription. Um, there's there's a bunch of different formats. There's SRT format, which this will do,
Mm,
which is just, and all this file is doing, this is just saying, I'm going to pass it a name. It's going to create an SRT, take the same file name, add SRT to it or TXT to it, and it's going to give us one of two options. And then all this code we can put in a repo. It's way more verbose than it needs. This is really all that's running. It's this MLX Whisper transcribe. Input path is, again, it's a file name. It's going to say the model that we want to use. And then there's this word timestamps that I think that's just telling SRT to go ahead and give us like the way it groups and puts the times
Yeah.
in. And then I've got some Python files here, or this get writer is what they use behind the scenes. And this is what says, take this transcription file and turn it in SRT, or take it and turn it into a TXT file, which is down here. This is just kind of boilerplate code that runs. So to your point, this could easily be something in Django. This is something we could turn into a pipeline. That would be really boring to watch, I feel like, but we'll see how much time we have. So if I've
This
got this running,
the fact that you are pushing it to SRT reminded me of one of the first projects that you helped me with, which was my the transcriptor Python like module that I made that used AWS's transcribe thing. It's like AWS transcribe, and then it would like allow you to wrapped it around to make it really easy to work with SRT files. That said, whew, I wouldn't touch that thing with the 10-foot pole right now. Definitely not a solution for this.
all right, I'm gonna run this transcribe and oh, it's telling me this thing already exists. Let me delete one caption then. Again, I didn't want this to be something that we ran that didn't work. So, okay, that's all good. I thought there was maybe a text file in there too. So let's run it. Everything takes a while to run, especially when you're on Zoom and streaming.
I think that's the hardest part is that I I see this being extremely busy, like you said, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And then after that being like relatively one off. Like I'm submitting a talk about how the Postgres like org is needing more Django developers to help like maintain some of their tooling. So I could see myself like, oh, I would want to add that to Django TV and I would want to get the transcription. But again, that's like one talk, 1 to 3 talks. There's probably 1 to 2 talks around Django at some of the Pi days or PyCons around the world. Um, so yeah, I feel like there was a part of me that was like, what if you just use queues? And it was like, the queue would just be empty for 80% of the time or have like one thing in it, which really isn't worth it.
What's kind of interesting, so what I tend to do is what we are doing now, which is I will go through and solve the problem. And then this YT DLP library is a Python library. And so we actually can call that from Django. We can call that from any Python script if we want to. We were
Yeah.
calling it from, just our shell or terminal. Um, and so those are steps that like step one is definitely going to be like when I create a playlist, then I want to go and, use that application or use that library to download all the videos. Once you have those videos, like I was doing in a folder, we could use Python again to queue up a next step, which would be, let's go ahead and run all that through this MLX Whisper application. Um, let's go back to that. So transcribe could easily turn into like another Django. You could use task if you wanted to use something like Celery or Django Q2. Django has tasks built in now, like in Django
Yeah.
6.0, which is coming out. And so you could do something a little more ingrained in the framework, which is kind of neat. I've not even played with that feature yet.
Oh, snap.
But so transcribe ran though, and then it's created an SRT file and a TXT file.
That was quick
SRT,
too.
it's
This
not
talks
too
for like
bad.
what, 20 minutes?
If it's like, if we were using Parakeet, it would have taken like probably 10 seconds or 15 seconds. So if somebody out there knows how to get Parakeet to run through Python, it's doable. I just couldn't. When I tried plugging it in, it was asking for other options that MLX Whisper hasn't added yet. So plain text files, this is something we'll be interested in. This is the whole, 20-minute, 30-minute video. SRT is the only thing it really does is it adds these timestamps and segments. This is
Yeah.
interesting to me from a data perspective because I want to eventually be able to do quotes. Jay's talk, he probably has 5 or 6 really neat points. It'd be super cool to have a quote, be able to link inside the YouTube video because I know like when the start and end times are. and be able to link directly to that video. So not only could you see it, but you could hear Jay or you could hear somebody else in the video, um, say that section. I don't know what to do with these yet. I just know that I want the metadata. So I don't know from a search perspective if this text file is what you really want. Is that
I
the most interesting to you, or?
I've got some ideas. Obviously for things like vector search and all of those things, you wouldn't want to search the entirety of the content. You'd want to search like snippets.
Okay.
Um, I think that there's a world where you have that SRT and you're collecting snippets of that. The only problem is like if you go back and you look at that SRT file, they're incredibly short. So I'm worried that like, if you're trying to get a 30-second snippet, you're probably you probably have to combine a bunch of
Hmm.
these, which there are a lot of old and new Postgres things that I'm thinking about with that of like, okay, if you have some code that grabs all of the text within like 30-second intervals, you might be able to find something. Or like if you so like you would store all of these as individual rows, and when you found something there, you would grab that with like 10 seconds before, 20 seconds after, or something to that
Right.
effect. And that would be an interesting like function that's called when you do like a generic search or when you do like a type of search on this information.
Yeah, that's kind of why I've like put this off, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I've had
It's
text
this
for a
this is
while.
very Postgres heavy, like what I'm suggesting there, because that's a the new one of the new features of PG 18 is working within time constraints. So
Okay.
you could take those like 6 minutes, 30 seconds on like that index 95 or whatever. You could have that second row just be a time constraint. And you can say, give me all of the rows that match a larger time constraint with their own. And again, like Ivan blog post literally just went up about that, and it's confusing to me still.
Hmm.
But I know that that's like such an interesting feature, and I've been trying to figure out like what would you even use it for? Um, this feels like one of the use cases that could exist.
Yeah, and this feels very much like JSON to me. So like a JSON field or something, because you've got this segment ID, you've got this start and stop, time, and then you've got the actual quote. So like structurally, I can kind of get there. I just wasn't sure what's available from Postgres because like, for one, we'll store the full text file and we can just make that one field. But when
Yeah.
it gets into like this processing piece, then like, would we want to break those out into individual records? And then like you're saying with time segments and yeah, some of that
Yeah.
probably doesn't even quite even map over to Django yet, but that doesn't mean we couldn't do it and then search against it in the back end with just raw SQL or something.
I mean, I don't I don't know what it would look like in terms of like a Django model. I think one of the
Let's
challenges with long
let's
form
let's figure
text
that out.
I think one of the challenges with long form text in Postgres is I often feel like I'm storing the same data multiple times, and it can be a little frustrating. Like even if I wanted to do full text search on like my blog, I would store the text as it is because it has formatting and all of those things. And then I would have to store a TS vector. And then if I wanted to do like vectorized search on it at all, I would have to then store it a third version of it as snippets of rows of like truncated data, which again, like in the grand scheme of things, text is pretty light. This entire transcription is maybe 1 kilobyte. So like I don't think it's necessarily the biggest deal to do that, but you start thinking about that as you're grabbing more and more video, more and more things at scale. I could see that being a challenge.
I'm just gonna put this stuff in Get because I want to do Claude in a minute, and then when we do
Okay.
that, it's a little easier to watch. So I just added it. Once you get repo or you get someplace you want this to go, we can get
Oh,
push that later.
I've got a AI thing for you that I tried last night that actually worked really well. Um, Jeff and I talk about like how we use Claude Code and stuff all the time. One of the things that I added to the Claude.md was specifically create a PR for every change. Which almost worked too good. I got like 15 PRs from it, but we were talking about sometimes AI has this desire to change a bunch of things at one time and like constraining it down to sometimes big tasks need 5 PRs. Like I'm very open to that, but I like 15 was too many, one is too few, and like trying to dial in the hey, we're gonna do a big change here. This you need to logically divide these into separate PRs.
So I started up Claude and I just ran /init, which is the first thing I run in a new project. Um, and that basically just tells Claude to go scan everything, and then it'll create a Claude.markdown file. And that's going to be here. I don't pay a ton of attention to this, to be honest. I know some people. I've got a colleague, and she writes novels basically, and does an awesome job writing this. I don't. And to kind of pick up on what Jay was saying earlier, because I use just, Claude will see the just file, and then it's actually doing documentation here, saying like just bootstrap, and it's copying over like everything. So like I think it's just a weird life hack because I've used Just for so long. It just gets kind of codified inside of Claude's brain, and it's like default system prompt because it's using, it's documenting as it goes. And I think that just makes it easier because I can just give it commands and tell it what to do, and it already knows how to use the project. That'll give you like we're in this transition with Python where we've got UV, and it's easier sometimes to do UV run versus Python and then run a file. Um, if you're running into issues where you're, kind of upset or you're mad at it, it's frustrated by it because it won't run UV run, it just uses Python. This Claude.md is kind of where you go in to tell it like, don't use Python, use UV run instead.
Yeah.
And then I've got some little like magic in the background too that I use. I've got a command that I run that just automatically does get commits for me. I've used that for a year or two. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's garbage. I just don't want to think about writing commits anymore. And so like it came up and my format is I always have like an emoji code so that I can tell on GitHub at a glance what's changed. Postgres' mascot is an elephant. So anytime I do a migration and it's Postgres, you'll see an elephant icon, description
Mm,
of the change. And so this was just use the pencil icon, adds Claude.markdown guidance, which is fine. It's just tells me that I added a file. It sees, probably because I haven't updated this prompt in a while, it sees anything that's a markdown file is the same thing as a text file, so it just sees it as a pencil and a change, but um, it's just fun. So we've got Claude set up, so at least Claude kind of knows what to do. Now, what I want to tell it is, Jay, we need like a model basically to store the transcriptions and get it in a database. Do you
and we
have
want
any
to
preferences?
store do we want to store the SRT, but we also want to store the plain text
Yeah, do you just
as
want to start
well?
with the plain text file and then maybe we add SRT later?
I would almost say start with the SRT and yeah,
We
let's
can do
just start with the
both.
plain text because the plain text is like one record metadata of the project, and then you just go.
Okay. Let's call that a transcript app in Django because Django always needs apps. And then what do you want to call that model? We could call it transcript too. It would be transcript app and transcript, but do you have
Yeah,
a preference?
I think it's. I think transcript's fine.
Okay, I'm going to do the voice mode so you'll hear me talking and you'll see stuff appear on the screen just because it's probably easier.
Oh, it's
Please
magic. Watch
create
it.
a new transcript Django app and create a transcript model that stores the YouTube ID and stores the SRT file and a plain text file for all the transcripts.
Are you Are you You have to say please and thank you to the AI so it works better?
I do because I feel like that puts me further down in the queue for when it eventually overtakes the world,
Oh,
and
okay.
everybody who's rude to it will get sorted to the top. And so
The
I just kind of raised that way, so it feels rude to not say please.
My mom always told me we say please and thank you in talking to our robot overlords.
Yeah, it's force of habit. Okay, now we're basically going to watch it fall down the tree and hit every branch because, hey, we're on
This is
we're streaming, but we'll see what it does.
this is the like AI thing that gets me. It's like we've done this so many times. We shouldn't have to watch you fall down the tree. Like,
It's probably going to be fine, but
yeah.
this is where I like to go to. Uh, bu- bu- bum. I like to go to get. That's kind of the problem with AI tools. We can be like, old men on the lawn. Essentially, okay, so it's created a model, it's created a folder. It's kind of walking through what it needs to do. So I just kind of ignore all the errors because I usually go get coffee or have other things to do. Like you message me, I'm chatting with you while the AI is doing its thing. I do like to run a get client though, so I can kind of follow and watch what it's doing. So it did create a transcripts folder, which is what our app is going to be stored in. It did go into our Django config, and it's smart enough to add into my installed apps. It added the app name of transcripts, so it's doing the right things. Our model so far is it does have a YouTube ID, it has an SRT file, has a text file. I'm going to go back and tell it because I did say file. What I tend to do is when I'm vibe coding or when I'm giving it direction, because people hate the word vibe coding, but it's word of the year I heard today or yesterday. So like
Oh,
a couple of dictionaries like it enough that it's going to stick around. Um, I just kind of look at the direction it's going. I think like an arrow, is it going in the right direction? If it's not, I'll bail out. I'll hit the escape key and I will bail out and stop it. And that tells me that I need to add a little more context and tell it what to do.
yeah.
90% of the time it's fine. And I can direct it and hone it in. If you're at a target practice shooting an arrow, though, just think of it like that, and there's other targets up. And so sometimes it does try to overachieve, and it thinks it can hit like 10 bullseyes at once because it sees. And that's kind of where you have to narrow the scope a little bit. Um, this seems fine. The one thing that I wasn't very specific about is when I said files. I really want it to store the SRT text and
Yeah.
then the plain text. Um, what do we call those? We don't want to call it a file.
SRT content.
Okay, text content and SRT content.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Please change our SRT file and text files to SRT content and text content. Did you say content? I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah.
missed.
That
Okay.
works for me. I
I
tend
tend
to
to
call
call
everything
everything
content.
content.
These fields don't need to be file fields. They can be text fields.
Yeah.
And so even though it's already moving, I'm telling it what I want to change and correct. And so now it made them text fields. It's not creating Django migrations, which may be baked in because it did. It did. It was just waiting for me to say something, just so it could mock me.
You
It's
haven't
You haven't
probably
done
not
your
going to
initial
run.
Do
migration. Do
you
you have to have a migration file?
I like to run them by hand, but what I am going to do is you do a UV run, manage, show migrations, and okay, so it has ran these, so I'm not going to obsess about it. I'm just going to let it do its thing. Like that's fine. I tend to tell it not to create migrations for me because I may go through a couple of these iterations where I'm telling it like,
Yeah.
give me something, let me see it first. And when that happens, you can use the pound symbol and then you can tell it this adds a memory. And that can either store it in its claude.md file, or there's a local version you can do that's just for you that maybe you wouldn't want to share with the team.
Yeah.
Never run make migrations.
I'll add that in user memory. Let's rerun that and put that in the project. So the project here is this, your main claude.md file versus, just add it in both. Then maybe we never have that again. Okay, let's go back into here. Let's see what it's done. Migrations are fine. We can actually go and verify that it added never run make migrations by hand.
It literally just threw it down at the bottom. It's like little note.
I do sometimes tell it, like if we've had a long session and I've added notes along the way and I'm lazy, I'll tell it to go back through the session and add those to claude.md.
I do
And
that
it does
too.
a pretty good job of picking them out.
I will say like this is something you should add to the claude.md file. And then usually it gets it.
I'm going to tell Claude to create a branch name based on what we've just done. Most people would do this up front. I don't tend to. That's just me.
I have a whole agent that's like its job is to make sure that good branch names and things like that are used. And I tried Git Butler yesterday, and I noticed that Git Butler uses was it work trees? And oh good lord, that like right in the middle of all my code, all of a sudden it's like something logical branch name, and then when I look at it later, it's like Git Butler work tree, and I'm like, I'm just trying to view my changes. Like I'm not trying to do a lot.
I'm going to briefly scan just to make sure it's not doing anything weird. It did create an admin for us we're going to look at.
Okay.
It's got a couple apps are just the generic thing that Django does to be able to like hang signals and stuff off of it. So there's nothing to see there. Migrations, I don't pay a ton of attention to. I don't think anybody does. I just make sure it's not deleting things, which it's never done. This model is fine. We can refine it as we go, but you know, it's getting the basics. YouTube ID lets us kind of know where we found it on YouTube. And so that kind of gives us something to reference. Tests are kind of a joke. We don't really need those at the moment. Let's just throw that away and forget it happened. We'll leave the views here, even though that's not needed either. I'm going to go back to my git commit message thing. And it will mock me and not pick up on the elephant, or maybe it does. We'll see. Sparkles adds transcripts app with model admins migrations. Okay. I got to fix that. So I'm going to go to my Django admin. Let's bump this up to be bigger. And if I wanted to add these by hand, I can add a YouTube ID. It tells me what to look for here. We got SRT content. We have text content. That's not bad. That's probably good enough to start. What I'm going to do too is let's copy our captions folder into our app. If I can remember how to copy. The CP-R, is it? Capital R. Okay, so we have captions. Let's see what we have in captions. We have SRT, TXT files. Okay, so we've got some data in here. The other reason I did that is because I'm in Docker. I just want to make sure I've got data inside the container so we can see it. So this branch that we've created, if we were really going, if the purpose of this was talk about vibe coding, we would have this in a Git repo that's public. I just kind of like to do, like if I'm setting off on new tasks, I kind of like to atomically keep track of stuff in Git. And those are like save points in games. If you ever play a game where you're getting ready to fight a boss and you save the game and then there's a penalty for dying in the game, it's like a reload point where you reload it. My son and I have been playing that new Donkey Kong Bonanza game or whatever it's called. I screwed the name up.
Yeah.
And so I watched him burn through like 10,000 coins one night. And I'm like, why don't we just reload it and go back before you fight this boss? And he's like, why would I do that? And it's, oh, I can just, so now he saves every, like, anytime he even thinks the wind's going to change directions in the game, which is kind of funny. So
It takes 3 steps and saves.
yeah, so this seemed good enough. Let me do one more. Let's make this Claude change here. And I'll let my command run.
I think
the interesting challenge in this is going to be when we have this and then we want to start maybe making changes to the model or to like the schema in Postgres. But I think that'll probably be the challenge of whatever the next live stream is okay, so we have a working app. How do we like do some small optimizations that might make it so we're instead of making 2 or 3 requests, we might only have to make one.
Yeah, for sure. And that may need, we would probably just have to use like raw SQL execution in Django 2 or something to get us there.
I mean, it's
probably as simple
once
as like a join.
It could be, yeah. So now that we have the app created and I've merged the code, normally I do this all on GitHub. That way I've got one chance to visually see it. To me, like looking at get tower is great, but it doesn't matter. You can use desktop, get a desktop. You can just use get from the command line. I'm just used to that tool. But usually when I see something, a pull request, something flips in my brain, maybe because it's like different background color, something about the web interface is where I'll usually notice something. I might come back. But once I've merged a feature and I'm happy with it, I always go into Claude and I clear. And then that just kind of gives me like a blank slate to check, to start working with again.
Does that
clear
So-
context as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it gives you can run /context too, and it'll tell you like your system prompt, your system tools, memory. I should have ran this before I hit clear, and you could see like what part of this token in a buffer was full.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
okay,
Very cool.
so let's do a quick. How much time we have? What time are we? So we got 2 hours or
I
hour?
was thinking like 2 hours probably good.
This is like a good halfway point if you want to take like a quick break or whatever.
Yeah. Why don't we do that, and then we'll add a command that loads these captions into our Django model. Does that sound like a good?
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
All right,
Let's
do
like 5
5 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Just ping you when you're ready.
Let me switch back over.
I probably shouldn't have unshared my screen. That probably messed something up.
No, you should be fine. I gotta.
Cool.
We'll find out. It looks like everything's there. Let me
Cool.
scenes window. Not the right window.
What do you use for this? Is that StreamYard or?
It's
all
Ecamm,
Ecamm,
but
but
the
the
thing that
thing
is
that is
frustrating
frustrating
right
right
now
now
is
is
that
that Ecamm is confused.
There we
There
go.
we go. It says. There we go.
Cool.
I think it had me like in there twice, but now we're good.
All right. So I think to continue, we've got transcripts. We went through kind of a pipeline so we can get videos from a playlist from YouTube. We can turn those into captions. We have a folder full of captions in our app we call captions. We not do the LSLA, that way we can see. Oh, I guess that really didn't matter, did it? So there's a bunch of SRT files, a bunch of TXT files. Let's have Claude. Let's see. Please create a Django management command in our transcripts app that loads all of our files from the captions folder and stores them as the YouTube ID and then the SRT value and the plain text value. No idea if that's actually going to be able to prompt, but let's just try it and see what we get. So what I want is I'm hoping to get a Django management command that I can just do uv run manage.py load captions, load transcripts. My brain always gets in a weird mode with transcripts and captions. I know they're very different contexts, but
Sorry, I had a couple of folks saying that I was echoing, which I hope I'm not echoing anymore.
is it just you or was mine too?
No, I think it was just me. The frustration with this is that when I use the Zoom thing, it includes my voice in the Zoom, but then it also
Okay.
keeps my regular mics open, which is weird, but okay. Yeah, they said it's better. Cool.
Cool. So this is doing a Django management command, which is fine. I think inside my application, let me go look and see what I've got installed while it runs. Do I have Django Click? I do have Django Click. Okay, I'm gonna tell it to go use Django Click.
Does
It's probably
Django
one of those.
click? Is that like the click that I'm familiar with palettes working with Django?
Exactly, yeah. It just makes Django does a lot of things pretty well, but the way you build Django management commands is with argparse, and life's too short for that, in my opinion. So sorry. Like this is fine. It's been good for 30 years, right? But like Django Click just makes it better. So we're
I
gonna see if we can.
mean, tell me when Django Typer comes out.
It's already out. Yeah, that's pretty
Django
good.
Typer is there? Oh
Yeah.
man.
I just haven't switched to it completely. We've got a new client project that Frank Wiles, my business partner, he's using it on. And so usually I'm quick to adopt on these things, but he was quicker to adopt the Django Typer. So
I not that anyone asked, but I recently switched from Typer back to Click on Render Engine just because it had a little bit better control around the commands and not nearly as verbose. Like Typer is great when you have something super quick, but when you actually start thinking about like, okay, I have like 7 different commands, each with a help that needs to be written around them, that needs to be annotated with a type, and like all of this stuff. It kind of started getting in the way versus just being easier to use.
Okay, we're going to see what it does. So it's already converted it back to click, which is fine. Get a captions directory. Ooh, it added a dry run feature, which YOLO. That's not the point of today, but cool. YouTube, I wonder if this will work. We'll just have to try it. Since these are all in different files, I'm not even really sure. And it looks like it's still running. So you know what? Let's just try it anyways. So we have UV run, manage. I'm just rerunning. So I've got load captions here. Let me clear the screen so we can see. Oh, look at that. Updated captions for. So it says it created 0, updated 48. One thing I'll say about like the way that like Claude and these tools, the way that it creates management commands, like these little touches here, like where it gives you the summaries of how many you created and how you updated. My brain doesn't work that way. So when I create these things, I'm lucky to get the file name to show like, all right, I did something. So I never get any like polish at all. And then later, about the time I show it to somebody like yourself, and then all the things in my head start to trigger, like I should have actually like made it actually do something that looks impressive. Not that this is impressive, but like, I don't know. So let's go into our Django app. I'm seeing YouTube IDs, which is cool.
As text has SRT is interesting. Like check mark. Like
yeah, because I didn't run the command. It never finished for everything. You know, like when we were doing it earlier. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's also nice extra. So, okay, Jay, you've got text content, you have SRT content.
So now comes the fun part of figuring out how to work with it.
So what we could also do, and that's pretty good. Let's go and let's get that saved in Git. I think it mission accomplished that.
Oh.
And I didn't create a branch for this. I'm just gonna save it to main because YOLO.
The
What was the
echo
OJ?
popped up again, but I was able to debug it. Apparently my Elgato Wave XLR thing directly connects to Ecamm. So if I hit the mute button, then I unmute it. It unmutes it in the sound levels, which again, in a world where it doesn't grab my audio from Zoom, that's fine. But doing both of those things is kind of dumb. So I just got to remember not to use my mute button on the Wave XLR. By the way, Brassman75, thank you so much for mentioning that it was there. That was an issue.
I'm going to clear the context window. I saved that. So let's go ahead and let's create just a front end view that can be our search. And at least we can like maybe
let's
put a couple things.
Get the basic search things going.
Okay, I'm gonna go in voice mode for a second in case it sounds weird. Please create a homepage that has a search view that lets us search our transcripts. Again, super generic.
I'm guessing that's going to just create like a full text search model for this.
We'll see.
Or full
We've
text
not really
search,
given it anything, so I don't expect much. But if it has a box that says text window with a search button.
I remember, in your like scaffolding template that you have, do you tell it to use something like class-based views or anything like that, or do you not care?
I tend to not care. I do like class-based views better. It's not like I don't know, that's just my preference, I guess. We'll see what it gives us. Yeah, it's giving us a function view. That's fine. This is not a full text search, but we can get there. Let's let it finish. Okay, so we have this. I remember somebody had mentioned Kobe Bryant in their talk. So, okay. And let's look for something more like Django.
I think that's from that's Kadzia's talk. 100%.
So we had 2 talks about Fast API. Perl. Oh, there's no way. Something's clearly something's messed up here. So we do have this. Let's tell it to please create a detail view so we can see each individual talk and transcript. Probably shouldn't have said talk. We'll see what it does. Hopefully it doesn't decide to come up with a new model called talk. I think it'll do the right thing. So I want to see why we have Perl in here.
Got
There
9
must be
results for
something.
Pearl. That's fun. I love that the show more, show less button doesn't work.
What's that?
I think like you click show more, show less, and like nothing happened.
Oh yeah.
Again, it's some of those amazing little touches that are very adorable at times, where you're like, it's added this. This is great. And then you like type it, you're like, oh, but it doesn't work.
Well, let's see if this actually would go to YouTube.
I think it would go to YouTube since you had the link for it.
Okay, so it's creating paths. It is updated our template here, transcript homepage, I guess. View
Okay.
details. Oh, this 153 is great. This plagued me and every conference and anybody who has an embed in their website for the last like 2-3 months. YouTube's been A/B testing some like security changes with embeds. So
Really?
if you ever see that, ping me offline. I can tell you how to fix it, but not going to spend
That's
the time
a
today.
good problem, I guess.
Oh, so properly. So anybody using the word properly is going to show up. So this is not a full text search. Let's please switch our search to be use Postgres full text search.
You threw in Postgres full text search instead of Django full text search. Interesting. I wonder how it's going to respond to that.
That's a good question. Okay, let me stage this stuff too so we can see what's changing. So this was doing a very naive Django filter off our transcript model. And so it was doing I contains, which is why like properly was showing Perl. There's a bunch of those words I don't know, they're just kind of stuck in my brain that I'll go and check. I like to do stuff like on even the Django, like Django's documentation actually does pretty decent search. So Perl is legit versus properly. I wonder how many properlies it finds. Yeah, so I don't know what they're doing. We might go look sometime. Okay, so we've got, ooh, it added search vector to our model.
So TS vector.
TS vector. Okay, that means more for you than it does for me. I
Yeah.
probably should run migrate. We'll see if it just dies. Yeah, it does die. Okay, so this is where I told it, don't ever run migrate again. Now, it's nice enough to say, hey, Jeff, you need to run make migrations and migrate. So,
Yeah. Oh, wait, what was
cool.
that? Oh,
What do you
okay.
want to see?
I
This?
just want to see what it says that it did. Added a search vector, uses generated field. Yes, that's a TX vector. Automatically combines YouTube ID, text content, uses English text search configuration, adds a gen index. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's doing full text search, which has been around for a little bit, but that's fine. That's actually one of the things that I'm more interested in playing with. Um, so maybe once we get it to like a working thing and we start playing around with the other side of that, I'm gonna be immediately like, okay, now add like like add vectors for like a vector search and see what happens.
So when I tried to run migrate, it failed. And so all I did was lazily copy the error message and I pasted it in to let it figure out.
Should we search vector field? I wonder if does it need search vector and search vector field?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I do from time to time see a small thing where Claude will add modules and then forget to remove them. But those are, I mean, that happens very seldomly, and it's kind of a minor thing.
Trying to give it a hint. So if it's trying to run this stuff outside of the container, it's going to have a bad time. So
I'm trying to see what Django's full text search does by default. Okay.
I keep
It adds a 2TS vector and a plain, was it plain to TS query from the search term? Okay.
Oh, that's fun. I found a bug in my start project. So I had Python manage instead of UV manage. Have to make it backport itself later. Okay, let's see if it has fixed itself.
I'm wondering about
And
this
then,
this gen index that it added.
oh yeah, look at that. We actually got Perl on a valid Perl hit. All right, search is so much better now. Okay, let's see this one. It actually isn't finding anything here. I don't know why Perl's a hit. Interesting. Okay, that's one we'd have to look into. I don't even know how it has this. We must have a bug here, or oh, it got smart. That's what it is. So it actually does. Yeah, there we go. That's a positive hit. Wow, that's exciting, I think. But
Yeah.
okay,
One of the
let's just
things
wrap this up.
one of the things I loved about trying to do Django with this was showcasing that like built-in full text search functionality that was added. I think was that San Diego? I think it was San Diego Sprints the last year DjangoCon was in San Diego, where people were talking about adding full text search and working on it.
I forget. I think at the time, Paulo, and I'm forgetting Paulo's last name. They just finished this. I think the feature had come out, and they had built this like really interesting tutorial that was like a multi-blog post for like how to really get in and use it. And I remember having a conversation with Paulo and you being around maybe at the
Yeah.
time too. But yeah, I feel like that was fairly new feature. Or at the time, there used to be a bunch of just contrib only for Postgres, and I don't think it had moved much. And then that was maybe a year that they'd put more, added more like flavor to it. And then a couple of things like JSON fields had also gotten pulled into other providers that weren't just Postgres. So okay,
So
so mhm.
I was gonna say there was a talk this year. I don't know if you have it in here or not. That is Beyond Filters, Modern Search with Vectors in Django. I am wondering how they are implementing their, because yeah, they got vector search thrown in there, but I was wondering about that. I was like, ooh, I would love to see. No, that's a different one. Beyond rate limiting.
You said it was this year's talks?
Yeah, it's this year's talks. It's Beyond Filters.
Okay.
Um, I might have to go watch that video and see how Django handles vector search, because I have a feeling that one, there's no model. I know there's no model for vector search because vector search is a um it's an extension that would have to be added. So
Oh, that's funny. I can't pick up on the name. We have the ID though, so that's our cheat code, I guess, to find it. I just was curious if we got to the meta level yet that we could find our use our tool to find stuff. But the problem is that I didn't pull the name of the titles from YouTube because I figured we'd have to link up an API or do something with it. But like I already have that mechanics for that, like on Django TV and a couple of other
yeah.
apps. But in theory, we would bring the titles over and then we could do search against that as well.
That would make sense.
But yeah, we got SRT for that too. Okay, so those are kind of the first like obvious things to work with. Do you have a GitHub repo or something you can send me or add me to and I can get pushed to it? And then
I don't.
we can do that later too if you want to, but like just in general.
I was gonna say I don't, but either I can make one, or if you want to make one and own it, it's up to you.
What do you want to call it?
Uh, Django talks transcriptions. I don't know. Naming things is hard, Jeff. You know this.
Let's start with Django transcription demo.
Yeah, there we go.
And then we can public visibility. Oops. And I could add you to it. Yeah. Let me ever read this.
Uh,
Oh yeah, I'll lint this too. Something about git push all of a sudden makes me want to lint things.
this is one of those things where if Copilot could use my Claude subscription and not Claude tokens, I feel like doing all of this in Copilot should, like, I don't know. I feel like Copilot should be good at doing GitHub things.
Mm-hmm. I think I needed to. I probably need to exclude some files.
I was gonna say
Let me
that's a
just run
lot
some
of stuff to hit the linter.
Go hit my start project again, and I can start project. Django start project. Being is always a problem. So I had front end here, so I can then let me remove static and let me add back echo static. This is really exciting watching me mess with Git.
I haven't played with Git Tower before, so I was looking at it. I was like, it's not a free tool, but I can understand, you're working with hundreds of repos throughout the year. Probably good to have. That's why I was checking out Git Butler.
Remove this. I can always add it back if I need to. So the reason I like it is there are times for like a client or something. Let me pick something out that I can. Sorry, I got split brain. Let me double check that what I'm about to push isn't going to be any of you more broken than when we started. And it looks like it's fine, even though I had the, let's see, Postgres. I don't know how search works. We'll have to look into that. Okay, so these files are here. Let me push more. I don't have the captions here, but I do have this caption script I can share.
Oh, the caption files.
Yeah, we've got this caption script. Let's take it and have Claude.
I mean, we have the database. We can.
Well, I meant we were showing people how to use a script that I have not. Maybe Claude can just turn that into a management command. Please turn ... transcripts. Oh, you know what? Okay, we did a lot of stuff. Let's clear our brain again. Dang it, I should have hit context again. Let's please turn. It's not going to let us do that. I'll have to copy it in. Copy transcript. Nope. Transcribe to our current path. I'm just going to copy it because I'm lazy. Please turn transcript into a management command. And it'll just file it away into like the right folder. And then people have that as an example if they want to use it.
I'm trying to see. No one's really tried to do a lot of PG vector with Django, or at least no one's written about it. See a couple of blog posts here that are like right there, but
I think if you search our message history, I like ask you about every month or two, like, hey, have you done anything with PG vector yet? And then there was an article we were talking about the other day, which talked about how it didn't scale or it wasn't good to use. And somebody was
yeah,
mentioning like what that was like when you've got millions of records, which
there's yeah. I mean, there's there are a lot of thoughts in that of like I've got millions of records is a lot, but it's also not a lot. Um, but I wonder about a lot of things. If you're using your like 1 gig instance on a million records, well, there's your problem. 1 gig of RAM and a small CPU not doing a bunch of work for you. But I I would love to see like those claims actually benchmarked and saying like here's where they fall off, and then tested against multiple instances of multiple amounts of resources, because it could just be as simple as you need a CPU heavy system but RAM can be lower, and maybe that saves you
gotcha.
money or vice versa.
So one thing I want to note, which I think is kind of interesting, I've got this transcribe function, and I wrote this with what's it called? PEPS 723, I think,
Yeah.
which lets you do these inline dependencies. I ran into a bug because the second that a new version of Python drops, everybody says, go use it. It's great. Uh, it's not. Like stuff doesn't work. It takes months and months for things to get caught up. It has nothing to do with Python version, the new version. So like one of the things I was playing with this morning is when I tried to run this because I've got Python 3.14 installed, all of your machine learning, anything to do with machine learning in general, just lags a lot longer than the average Python dependency does. So this MLX Whisper, it just wouldn't work. And so I had to go ahead and pin it and tell it, use a version that is greater than 3.12 but less than 3.14. It worked fine with 3.14. But what's subtle is even though I've got this Python file and I told it, I want you to turn this into a management command, it picked up that MLX Whisper wasn't actually installed in the application. And so Claude went ahead and added that as a dependency inside of PyProject.toml,
That's
which
nice.
I think that's nice too, yeah. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to go back and let my little get commit message auto. And then once this is done, I'll show you why I like tools like Get Tower. Sorry, that is just so unreadable. I don't think there's a great way to bump the font size up in it. Let's see, appearances maybe. No, that ain't it. Editor, the text, no. Theme, maybe. Yeah, let's bump this up. Maybe we can get it to 24, which it should already be using. Okay, it's only using the editor text in here. So the reason I like this tool, and it's nice if you're a consultant, is because there are times that I want to be more atomic in how I'm committing things. And so let's say I want to commit the transcribe file, but I don't want to include like this parakeet. And so I can go and use the UI to selectively, choose, and I can show it staged and unstaged. And so this gets really nice because there are times that I want to have like, let's say I've edited 10 files and I know I'm adding a migration, but I don't want to mess up the order that the commits would get ran for tests or just in general. So it lets me choose which lines of which files. And I don't know how else to do this with the command line tool. I've never been able to pull it off. And so it's just one that, like, if I don't want a main to run, then I could come in here and, select the lines. And maybe I also don't want, this would just break it. But see how I've selected two different regions, and I can say unstaged lines, and then I can very quickly see what I need and don't need. This is just killer.
I'll share
I don't want any of
the
that.
link to that. Apparently, it says get started. It's free, but
Any tool that does it, I think GitHub Desktop's free. It will let you do it. There's a bunch of other tools that people like. So we have 2.6K tokens, system tools, memory files. These don't mean a ton to me other than free space and kind of knowing how much room I have to work with. Even when I'm working with big projects, I never fill up because I'm at most going to do maybe 3 to 4 prompts, and then I'm going
yeah.
to like stage something and clear my memory. But I should have looked at this earlier, but it's so small anyways. We're only going to be working with a couple, maybe 100, couple thousand tokens max. So that is all up now, by the way.
Just get open.
This has my Django start project. Let's tell Claude. Let's clear it. Please rewrite our README. To fit our project and show people how to use our project. Let's give it a better README. Okay, transcript search. Let's look at code while it's doing some work for us in the background, because we've kind of gotten off on a side quest. But we have captions that work. We have this transcript app, and we have views, which tell us we have the home page. Don't really like the name of that, but that's really our search. And then we have this transcript detail page, which kind of lets us go and check that, like, if we search for something, we're fine to what we say.
Yeah.
So really what I think I'm going to need Jay's help with, and we can go as deep into this next time too as you want, is what should be here. I'm displaying a Django template, so we've got search that semi-works. But when we get into this like transcripts, annotation parts, and we could copy this to make homepage V1 through 5 and have different ways of checking different Postgres features if you wanted.
That's what I was thinking, was have like a couple of home pages, one that does, we've kind of already shown the out of the box, the I contains is kind of wild. So just the upgrade from I contains, which I'm guessing is like an I like search. I call it an I like search, which is literally like percent sign, I like whatever words you put in there, and then percent sign. So, or I like percent sign, whatever your query is, percent sign. And that's it. It would have done the same thing. The thing I do like about this is it has some of the things that we're going to think about with um, your configuration for your full text search query. Having obviously English makes sense. I'm not sure what that search type is. That's interesting. Like web search. I don't know what that's doing, but I'm guessing that's something that Django Docs can tell us more about. But and then again, like after that, the next thought is just what other search options do we have? Probably vector search is going to have some solutions. And then is there a way to combine that search into multiple pieces? Because again, one of the things that you talked about you would love to see as a feature is how do you find snippets, or how do you create snippets? And I think that like trying to like the creation of this is a snippet is probably something that could just be done with code, but identifying snippets is probably something that can be done on the Postgres side. Because I'm thinking about what are, oh, this is cool. you you just asked AI what was this doing?
It's got the doc, so it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So web search is most user friendly, exact phrase, or okay.
So it gives you that ORing ability and the ability to say Python minus Flask, which okay, that's cool. Nothing
Okay.
against, sorry Flask people. Nothing against Flask, but that's a Django search.
Yeah.
But
User, I'm trying to see the other ones. Like obviously the raw one is probably the like all these things to avoid. This is
yeah,
interesting. So this is doing more. It's it's like if you're doing this, you still need TS vectors, but at the same time, we're going to search them differently based on your option. I haven't seen that.
yeah, it feels like there's a parser or something that it's giving you the option to plug into before it's like
Yeah.
passing through or giving you, yeah.
This
There's a
is
TS vector options too inside the docs, but it's been a while since I played with it.
and this is where like seeing like the stats inside Postgres, like we could run the query and then see what that query actually looked like inside of Postgres. Which if you're, I think right now your Postgres file is, you said it's just a Docker file that's attached.
Mhm.
You could probably ask Claude to connect to it and see what those web searches look like.
Are you looking for just the raw SQL?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just wondering what, you typed in Perl and I'm wondering what it, oh, well, I mean, I guess you could do that too. I'm saying there's a command inside of Postgres that will give you a history of your queries.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for like quick, like let's see. Let's look for Perl. I don't know why I'm picking on Perl today. I don't mean to. I'm not really.
That's like a good one.
So we got this thing. Is there like a
Yeah.
SQL format? SQL formatter? I don't know which one
I'm
this
I'm
is.
gonna tell you to go to next time go to ivan.io.
Ivan,
No,
IVAN.io.
AIVEN.
AIVEN.io. Okay. Man, I screwed that one up, huh?
What?
Let's see.
Oh, it kept your query in there.
Well, I was thinking it would connect it. I'm using Kagi, so it's probably not as
And
like.
go to developers tab, free tools. There's a SQL formatter right there.
Syntax checker, SQL formatter. Okay.
I
There we
gotta
go.
pay the bills. So there's a
Oh, that's cool though. Figured there had to be something. So that's given us, I see in some TS vector, was it? Yeah,
yeah,
web
yeah.
search to TS query English.
So yeah, that very small typing of Perl does a good chunk of things. Interesting. Because that would be basically what we need to try to replace in terms of if we were going to do a vector search or a hybrid search.
We could also like think about how you'd want this to work. We could create a button or a drop down where we could say use I contains. Next option is use this search.
Yeah.
And then we could do custom ones too, where we just, tell it like match case, do these or use raw.
I think the easiest one would be more than likely a use web search, use vector search, and then use hybrid search. Those are going to kind of be like the big three. Trigram search is another one in there that's it'll be interesting to see how that works. Um, Trigram search allows you to be a little more you can make more mistakes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how Trigram would work with. Oh, there we go.
PG trigram extension on Postgres. Okay.
Yep. It it's one of those things where it's like maybe for Python related things, it's going to be a little more, probably a little better in that if you're searching for things that are like variable names and module names and things like that, if if you're off by one or two characters, it'll still find it.
So would it find like all the properlies or whatever when I was using Perl? Like, would it be more prone to find that, or what would that?
It wouldn't be more prone to find like properly in Perl, but if you did Perl PERL and Perl PEARL, it would find both.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So again, it's
So,
like
Mhm. Go ahead.
it's going to be one of those things also with accents. I was going to say like things with accents and stuff like that where you have someone's name and then there's an accent or there's a non-ASCII letter in it and then all of a sudden you're not finding their content. Maybe a trigram would find it better.
Gotcha. Because that's definitely a problem with like Django TV. I've got kind of a hidden page, which let me just go find the name. To do. Okay. So I don't have all of the people extracted yet from this. Let me see if I've got Michael's here. No, I don't. Most videos, just go to one on the homepage. There's a bunch of jobs that I run in the background, and so it'll say this video features Sarah Voice, and so I can click on their name to get to here. But there's this presenters, just a big dump of everybody, and there's definitely some names that DjangoCon Europe has done a better job of quoting versus ours just haven't been quoted. We
Yeah.
also have like there's a Will Vincent problem, and there's a Lacey Williams Henschel too, because we've got like three different names for some people that I need to go back and fix. But I'm pretty sure if I found something like William Vincent and Will Vincent, so like I want to fix that along with we even have like Japanese names, which is cool. I want to fix some of the like Zanes, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and I forget, I've done some cleanup on a few of these, so I'm not seeing any that stick out, but we will get like an accentuated E. Like here's a Stephanie, but I'm not seeing another Stephanie. So I would like search to work in a way that if you look for STE, you would get every Stephanie and not exclude the ones that have the characters
Yeah.
above the E. Wow, I could not have fumbled through that any worse.
No, that I mean I've saw a couple of names in there that were very much like I don't know how I would search for that person's name on an English. Rodrigo. Haha. Black Python dev sponsor Rodrigo Sorrell. Like I don't know how I would search for his name on an English keyboard with relative ease. So just being able to type it in without accents and having it pick up would be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I got two Rons too. Oh, I got Ron and Ronald. Took me a
Yeah.
minute to realize the two. Yeah, I'd like to normalize those at some point, kind of out of scope of this, but that's interesting with trigrams, though. Might be something I look into. As a Django dev, one thing that tends to intimidate me is there's extensions that need to be loaded
Yeah.
and not knowing if those extensions just exist by default in Postgres. Like I feel like there's a baseline knowledge that you have that I go, oh crap, do I need to install something? How would I even install something in Postgres? Um,
It's there's so the Postgres answer is I would often just search the Postgres docs for the extension name. And if it shows up, then it's probably a built-in extension that you can access easily. There's a list somewhere. I don't ever check it. Now putting on pays the bills hat, like, hey, Ivan has like 80 extensions that are included that
you can just go to the docs and then type in the extension name, and if it's in there, then like you've got it. And that's
Gotcha.
yeah, that's part of the why you choose Ivan for Postgres.
Gotcha. So there's no UV, but like PV for Postgres that you do the PV
Now,
install.
if you know the flag for it, like I don't know what trigram extension is by default, but it's like create extension. It's probably create extension trigram. Yeah, so this is going to be built in. It's in the
Okay.
Postgres docs. It'll be built in. So you just
Nice.
have to enable it, and you'd enable it with create extension. Um, do they not have that in there? They not all of the
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, so someday I look forward to when you can send my Claude stuff so that it knows.
Yeah.
Can you send that to my Claude? That way it knows where to look. That's funny though. I wouldn't have known that you needed to create extension, but
Yeah, you
I
just
would.
type in
It's
create
fine.
extension and then PG underscore trigram, and then it'll go, cool, it's installed, and then you're done.
Yeah, because Django says you can install the extension using trigram extension,
I'm
which
guessing that's what
maybe
it's
that
doing
tells
behind the
me.
scenes.
These aren't always obvious either, though, because like that doesn't get me to know what do I need to put where.
Yeah.
But I see an example down here which says create collation. But again, I don't. Yeah,
Oh, I don't know what that is.
there's a whole thing here that would be nice if people contributed to as well. So if you're listening to this and you know that I don't know what I'm talking about, and you want to add it to the docs, it either Postgres needs it clearly, and so does Django's docs. But
Yep.
all right, well, cool. Anything else you want to cover while we're
I think that's it. Next steps will be to figure out when we're going to do this again, and I guess I'll drive, and
cool.
it'll be a bunch of looking at PGCLI because sadly, well, Claude can do a bunch of PSQL like hacking where it'll say like PSQL-C and then run the command and then get the output. That's fine. That's also very, very, it's good for doing things. It's not great for exploring. Um, it likes to hide what it's doing, and then I wind up constantly trying to bat at it.
Yeah, plus to be able to run queries and run it and see it, and yeah, that's that's totally fine. You might think about if there's anything else you want in here, like if we do want to add the options, so that we go through the web search and we go
Yeah.
through. That way you can look on the back end too. That's something we could add between now and then, or
Yeah.
so.
I think we could probably add that. Um, yeah, I'll probably add the vector search complication to it just as a separate page because I mean
Mhm.
I didn't see a blog post about it, but also it's not that sexy. It's make sure Postgres has PG vector, then run a raw SQL query that is do a vector search on whatever the search bar is. And then the hybrid search would be the same, but hybrid search is, I think I would rather show them hybrid search because there is, OpenSearch has the concept of hybrid search built in where I can say, search this way, search that way. You have a score for each based on relevance, and then I can adjust the weights. Postgres doesn't have that built in, but you can write a quick function to do it, and then you just call that function. And a lot of people, I have done it before. I have an example of it in like a GitHub repo somewhere, and then like I've only seen one or two other examples of it. And Jonathan Katz, the creator of PG Vector, was like the only person that I've seen otherwise that's written about it.
I'm gonna go ahead and save these two things and then the README too, by the way. And then, yeah, if anybody has questions or something, feel free to open an issue on the repo too. Um, this would be about what I would do at night, like if I was going to be watching Netflix, because it doesn't, I mean, clearly we're talking and we're not probably putting as much of our brains into it while we're like vibe coding an app. But it's interesting to me how far you can get in so little time with it. And I spent probably half hour outside of this morning just checking to make sure we weren't going to fall down by using the wrong Whisper library and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but if you run into something like it just doesn't work, the instructions don't make sense, it's probably because we just didn't spend the time to write it. It's probably something we can answer pretty quickly though. So happy to do that.
Awesome.
And I'll get push this. Cool.
Jeff,
Yeah, it's kind
thank
of
you.
neat. This is something I can use, so I will copy some stuff in the Django TV, and if search is better, and if
Yeah,
I
I
get
was gonna
captions
say
loaded.
I'll be looking forward to seeing these added to Django TV.
And the model too, if you want to expand the model with SRTs or anything else too, then you might think about that as well. For
I
Django
guess
TV, I'm definitely going to have another structure where I bring them all out, and so it'll be the captions and it'll be the or transcriptions and then the individuals. So
I guess on the application side, with it being a model or with it being like an app that has like the model and everything included in it, how hard is it to add this to Django TV? Like just the hey, if you want to search through our talks, like search through our talk library, and then it's just like a here's a separate model or a separate app that gets loaded. Sorry.
what I would do is basically have a like REST endpoint or something that takes the YouTube ID, and then I can tell it if it's a SRT file or a plain text file, and I'll just probably plug it in that way. That way I can run this on my Mac or run it someplace, and then have it just upload the files directly to the database. That's probably what my first step will be, just because it's easier on me. Um, I may change my mind the second we're off this call and realize it's not that bad. I've got a web server that can't really, like data on a web server, it's a little like these things run in Docker for me, and I don't really have it connected to external files at all.
Hmm.
So I kind of need to pipe things through an extra step to get it in the database, where locally I can just mount the volume and I can have it run through 1,000+ of these files. And I've got about 1,000 videos. So
Yeah.
like I don't really want to store 1,000 YouTube videos and store, 2,000 of these transcript files on a server. I just don't need to. I've got like 2 TB on my of local storage here
Yeah.
versus I think I've got 25 gigs on my Hetzner box or something. So
Oh. Well, I mean, I was thinking more of just like we haven't looked and seen what this looks like from a Postgres side,
okay.
but having having a separate table, like honestly, that's what it is
Oh,
on
gotcha.
Postgres side. It's just a separate table in your existing Django TV Postgres that has you add one column to this, which is the talk ID that relates to the whatever the record is currently.
Gotcha.
And then you
Yeah,
can
you're
just say
right.
like, yeah, we like you just say we have what we have, and then we can always you're always adding more over time.
Yeah, where I've got like a video table model there, I will make a transcript model and I will attach to that like a join basically. And then that
Yeah.
way I've got all the metadata in one place. And then I don't have this, what is going to be like a meg of files, maybe
Yeah.
at least. And then that way I can keep that lighter and then I can just add these. Plus, like, also, I kind of want to store like which model I use to do the transcriptions because, new models, better models will come out and it may be worth it because I find a bunch of typos and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like this did a pretty good job of finding Django and detecting it, which is not normal at all. So
Chain goes. That's
so if we
I
were like gonna sell a service or something, we would have some kind of a cleanup step where at least we would be going and looking for very common like, JANGO minus the D's. And I'm sure by like looking at the actual like if we pull the descriptions and stuff from YouTube, I would feed that back into like a prompt or something to do cleanup because that's at
yeah.
least gonna get the right like the right subjects and topics in. So when it's trying to like clean things up, it at least will have those to know, this is the vocabulary I have to work with.
It's funny when you can take AI to pull down the transcript and then ask AI to go back with some sense of context to go and fix the obvious mistakes.
It is, but like, Django TV's got we're closing in on 1,000 videos. And can you imagine? I mean, I love Django. I love Django people. You could not pay me any amount of money in the world to go watch 1,000 videos and try to come up with choice quotes and to come up with like that's such a hard problem to find. And if you tried to imagine being an intern and having to watch 1,000 videos over the course of the summer and make notes on this stuff,
Yeah.
like that would be an awful job. You'd learn a lot maybe, but like that would be tough. And so, not trying to insult anybody, but like that's just so much content. And this is something you can rattle off in a couple of hours. And I don't know, and it's cheap to do. So,
Yeah.
like to me, these are kind of fun problems to solve. And I just don't know how else you'd solve them otherwise. But do you want to watch 1,000 Postgres talks?
Maybe back in the day, but not now. I'm too busy. All right, cool. So I know what I'm gonna try to knock out in between live streams. As soon as we're off this call, we'll figure out when we're gonna stream next. Um, Hint, it'll be sometime next week. Um, and then for those that are watching this either live or watching later, tune in on November 20th when we will kind of recap all of this, all of the 4 to 8 hours of developing this and kind of what we learned both from the development side and from the Postgres side. But till next time, thanks everybody for checking us out. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and see ya.